Hi everyone, my name is CS Harshdeep Singh Narula, and today in this video we'll discuss about what are the differences between one person company, that is OPC, and a private limited company. You must have had thought about that while incorporating a company or while doing your research work, that what is the difference between OPC and private limited company. You must have gone through that there is a word called OPC, but you don't know exactly what does OPC means. So OPC stands for one person company. It is also a concept of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It is also a type of a company as it is private limited company. I'll explain you with an example before we start what are the differences between OPC and a private limited company. So for example, there is OPC named ABC. So we will write it as ABC OPC private limited, and if there is only a private limited company, we'll write it ABC private limited. So you can write OPC as like this. There are two ways to write OPC, but there is only one way to write private limited. Earlier you used to write as PVT Ltd. However, now it is not allowed. You can just write private limited in full. This you understood, that private limited is ABC private limited, and ABC OPC we can write it ABC OPC like this, or ABC OPC in bracket. So OPC word will always be there in the one person company. So in a one person company, what are how many there are the shareholders? So in a one person company there is only a single shareholder. That's why it is a one person company. That does mean it is a single man show, it is a single game show. That means if you do not have any partner, or you do not trust anyone, or you just want to run the show all alone, then this is the best choice. However, if you want to come into a partnership, if you want to come with two or more people, then private limited is the best choice for you. So for the first, we'll discuss about what are the similarities and differences we will discuss. So what is the act? Which act regulates OPC and private limited? For OPC, there is Companies Act 2013, and for the private limited also, the act is same, that is Companies Act 2013. Moving further, board meeting. In the case of OPC, if there is only one director, then there is no requirement of board meeting. However, if the number of directors is more than one, then there is a requirement of board meeting. So in the case of OPC, the shareholder could be one, however, directors could be more than one, that is one or up to 15. However, in the case of private limited company, if it's a small company, then minimum number of board meetings are 2 in a year. If it's not a small company, then 4 in a year. Moving further, ITR, the date of ITR for the both is same. ITR form 6 will go in both the cases, and the last date is 31st October. If there is no extension provided, this is the last date of filing your ITR for the previous financial year, for the current assessment year. Moving further, AGM. In the case of OPC, there is no requirement of AGM. However, in the case of private limited company, there is a requirement of AGM, because in the case of one person company, AGM happens for whom? AGM happens for the shareholders. In one person company, there is only a single shareholder, then there is a no concept or no requirement of AGM. However, in the private limited company, you obviously know there are minimum 2 shareholders and minimum 2 directors. We'll not talk about the directors here. We'll talk about the shareholders when we are talking about the AGM. So in the case of a private limited company, AGM is necessary. So we'll talk about the first AGM first. So in case of a private limited company, first AGM happens within 9 months of the closure of previous financial years, and further consecutive AGM happens within 6 months of the closure of previous financial year. That is, in the case of 9 months, last date is 31st December. In the case of 6 months concept, the last date is 30th September of every year. However, in the case of OPC, the AGM is not required. However, there is a concept of a deemed AGM. That means you'll presume that AGM happened, and that AGM happens, you take into the consideration within 180 days of the closure of financial year, that is 27th of September of every year. Be it your first AGM, be it your second AGM, your AGM will be considered as on 27th of December of every year. Moving further to point number 5, annual filing. In case of OPC and private limited, annual filing will be done. And this is a very interesting concept, and this is a very confusing concept as well. I'll explain you how. In the case of private limited, AOC 4 goes and MGT 7 goes. AOC 4 goes within 30 days of the AGM. That is, from the date of AGM, you have 30 days to file form AOC4, and from the date of AGM, you have 60 days to file form MGT7. However, this thing doesn't work for the OPC. In the case of OPC, AOC4 goes on which date? On the date of AGM itself. This is a last date. AOC4 goes on 27th of September. In the case of private limited, let's assume the 30 days complete on from the September, that is 29th of October, and MGT7 for MGT7 29th of November complete. That means you have different dates, 29 November, October and November. However, this has 27 September for AOC4, and for MGT7, MGT7A, it has last date 60 days from the AGM. That is 60 days would be count from the 27th of September. These were 5 points. You can take screenshot if you want to. Moving further, point number 6. So the point number 6 is tax. The tax is same in both, 25% tax, 25% tax plus cess plus cess. Point number 7, number of members. Number of members in the case of OPC are 1, maximum and minimum, and in the case of private limited company, minimum are 2, maximum are 200. If you want to go beyond 200, you have to incorporate what? A public limited company. So moving further to point number 8, minimum capital requirement. There is no concept of minimum capital requirement anymore. You can start your OPC or a private limited with as much as low capital as 2 rupees, 1 rupees, etc. However, it would be tough for your banking. I would still consider take it as minimum 25,000 for your smooth banking purpose. KYC, DIR3 KYC every year happens on or before 30th September of every year, and in this case, both KYC is applicable on all the directors, be it OPC or be it the private limited company. Point number 10, audit. Audit is mandatory for both. In this case also, audit will be done. In this case also, audit will be done. Be it your minimum capital, be it your zero turnover, be it minus, be it no turnover, be it your 10 crore turnover, anything, audit has to be done compulsory basis. Moving further to point number 11, statutory records. Records has to be maintained in both the cases. However, in this case, lesser number of records have to be maintained because of there are no board meetings, there is no AGM. However, in this case, more records have to be maintained because of number of AGMs, board meeting, and other minutes of meeting and records. Minute of meetings, as there is no AGM done if the director is single, no MOMs are required. In this case, minutes of meetings are required as there are minimum 2 directors. Moving further to point number 13, ownership. Who is the owner? Both cases, owners are shareholder. In this case, only 1 shareholder. In this case, minimum 2 shareholder or more. They are the owners of the company. Moving further to point number 14, profit. In both the cases, profit is being divided as dividend. You cannot take profits as such any time of the company. They will be distributed in the case of in shape of dividend only. So this was all about the difference between OPC and a private limited. If you have any questions or if you want to incorporate your OPC or a private limited, do reach out to us. Our number is mentioned here on the right side of the board as well. I'll write it down in the middle. It's 987 806 7337. You can WhatsApp or you can call me anytime. I'll be very happy to serve you. Thank you very much.